Story time on how my babysitter used a teddy bear to spy on me while I changed. Okay, so boom. My parents worked a lot and they both worked night shifts. My dad would come home first at like 11 p.m. and then my mom would usually come around 1 a.m. My parents didn't want me to be home alone for too long, so I would have a babysitter from 3 when I would get off of school till 11 when my dad came home. By the way, I'm 12 and the babysitter that we're going to be talking about is 19. So I usually stayed with my older cousin till my dad came home, but my cousin and her family moved. So my parents were forced to get me an actual babysitter. So like a week into me dealing with this new babysitter, one night I was changing and my babysitter tried to open the door, but it was locked. I told her that I was changing, but she told me that I have to leave my door unlocked just in case something happens. I only believed her because my parents had a similar rule. But eventually, my babysitter was always walking into me accidentally while I changed. I was getting annoyed, so I had to think of something to stop her. My babysitter kept accidentally walking in on me while I was changing. So to stop her, after I would get out the shower, I would literally go to her and say, "Hey, I'm in my room changing. I'll be right back. Please don't come in." So she had no choice but to stop accidentally seeing me. Well, that stopped her for a week, and then she got me a teddy bear. I was excited because it was a pretty big bear and it was super soft. She came in my room with me and said she got the perfect spot for the bear. And I was like, okay, cool. Y'all, she put it right on my dresser, front and center, great view to see everything. And ever since then, she never came back into my room. Y'all, the things I did in my room, like dancing with no clothes on, acting like I was Beyonce on stage, shaking my little booty with barely any clothes on. And little did I know she was downstairs watching the whole thing. Cause the camera was in the teddy bear's eyes. She gave me a teddy bear with camera eyes and put it on my dresser. I, of course, didn't notice that there was actually cameras in the eyes of the teddy bear. Well, one day my mom was cleaning my room and she asked me where did I get this bear from. And I told her that my babysitter got it for me. And my mom was like, oh, okay. For some reason, my mom was creeped out about the bear and she ended up putting it in the washroom to clean it later. That same night, before I even got a hello, my babysitter said, "Why'd you move the bear?" And I looked at her and said, "How did you even know the bear was moved?" She kind of stumbled on her words, but then she told me that my mom told her. I obviously fell for it and was like, oh yeah, she put it in the washroom to clean later. Y'all, my babysitter went to the washroom and took the bear and she placed it back on the dresser at the same spot. And she told me to tell my mom that we washed the bear together. I really didn't care, so I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I went about my day. This is where it gets real. After my mom moved the teddy bear, my babysitter went in and moved it back. The next day, it was Saturday, so my mom was off. My mom came in my room and saw the teddy bear and asked me why I brought it back up. So I said, honestly, Mom, the babysitter put it back up. She was so sad that you moved it. You should have never even told her. And my mom just looked at me confused and was like, what do you mean? I didn't tell her I moved the bear. And I said, of course you did, Mom. You probably just forgot. Because before she even walked through those doors, she asked me why I moved the bear. My mom's eyes opened wide and she froze. My mom took her phone out and opened a flash and shined it into the bear's eyes. And then she screamed, oh my gosh, and then grabbed the teddy bear and ran to her room. There the camera was. My mom called the cops and then the cops went to my babysitter's house like 15 minutes away. And my babysitter's parents, not knowing what's going on, let the cops in. Y'all, my mom grabbed the teddy bear and ran to her room and called the cops. The cops went to my babysitter's house and her parents let them in. So the cops went into my babysitter's room and then confiscated the laptop. Y'all, she had videos of me and about 5 other girls that she babysat for. And she was recording all of us naked. And we're all minors. She, of course, went to jail and my parents refused to hire anyone to babysit me anymore. They actually prefer a family member or they just leave me home, to be honest. And my parents actually didn't tell me what happened until I got older, which I'm now 18, because they didn't want me to feel so violated. So they handled it all without me knowing, which I'm grateful for because I probably would have had a mental breakdown if my mom really told me what happened at that very moment. So anyways, be careful who you leave alone with your kids, guys. Story time on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom. This was back in 2017. So I was 17 and my sister was 20 and my stepdad was 32. So when I was 16, my sister and I were introduced by my mom to my stepdad. And right off the bat, my sister was very flirty with him. I would always catch them doing things like my sister rubbing my stepdad's muscles and him just standing there loving it. I would try to tell my mom, but she would always tell me that they're just getting along and that they're basically father and daughter. daughter. Anyways, this day it was my birthday and me and my mom were gonna have a girls' day. So that meant that my sister and my stepdad were going to be all alone. My mom and I told them that we would be back around 10. So we go to a store to shop, but long story short, I fell and hurt my foot, so we had to go back early. As soon as we get into the house, we hear moaning. I immediately looked at my mom and told her I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like the NBA. We came home early and immediately heard moaning. I looked at my mom and said, I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like she was a track star. She's a runner, she's a track star. Anyways, I ran after my mom and we opened the door together and we see my sister naked with my stepdad. My sister immediately started crying and my mom was literally beating my stepdad. And me, oh yeah, I was just laughing. Like, that was not shocking at all. Like, I literally saw it coming. After my mom was done beating my stepdad's ass, he was begging her for forgiveness. And y'all, she forgave him. I was so mad that I called the cops. But then the cops told me that it wasn't an emergency, so they hung up on me. So I was even more fed up. So I decided that I was going to beat my stepdad's ass, but 100 times worse than my mom did. Then I did it to my sister, and it gets worse. I was beating my stepdad's ass, and then I was beating my sister's ass. Because I was so mad that my mom literally forgave this man for sleeping with her daughter. And my sister was literally always trying to sleep with my stepdad. Like she was sick. They all were sick. So I called my biological dad and I told him everything. Then he came over and then he gave my stepdad a real ass whooping. My sister actually lost her V card to my stepdad. And y'all, she got pregnant. I didn't want anything to do with that baby and no one else in the family wanted anything to do with that baby. So my sister ended up giving the baby up for adoption. And shortly after she gave birth, she went to jail, as she should, where she belongs. And so does my stepdad. Look, y'all, not all family is good family. They could be crazy and nasty. Goodbye. Story time on how I went on a Tinder date and my date tried to kill me. This story gets straight to the point, so let's get into it. Okay, so boom. I was 16 years old and I was lonely. All my friends had boyfriends, so I was always left out. But I didn't like anyone from school, so I went crazy on Tinder. Me and this guy both swiped, so we started talking. And after 2 weeks, he asked to meet up and go on a date. 2 weeks was a little fast, but again, I was lonely and I really wanted a stupid boyfriend. Don't be like me, y'all. So yeah, I went on the date and we met at a restaurant. And you guessed it, he was catfish. His picture, he was a tall, muscular guy. 6'3" with Rico Suave hair. But in person, he was bald, fat, and he was short. I was so pissed, I just wanted to turn around and leave, but he stood up to greet me, so I didn't want to be rude, so I just told myself I'll get a free meal. Y'all, during the day, I found out he was 40. I found out he was 40 and he was catfished. I had to get out of there. After dinner, I told him it was nice meeting him and that I was going to text him once I got home. But of course, I was just going to block him. But that's none of his business. Anyways, he asked me if I wanted him to walk me to my car. But I said, no, that's fine. At this point, I was being very standoffish because it was like, dude, get away from me. And I think he noticed. It was pretty late at night, probably like 10 p.m. So when we left the restaurant, no one was really around. At this point, I'm kind of getting a little scared, so I kind of walked to my car a little quickly, about to open my door. And this guy comes out of nowhere right behind me and covers me with his arms and squeezes me. He covers my mouth so I wouldn't scream, and he whispered in my ear saying I was leaving with him whether I liked it or not. I tried to wiggle myself out, but I couldn't. He was too strong. And things got real. He comes up behind me and squeezes me with his arms and covers my mouth so I wouldn't scream. I tried to wiggle my way out, but I couldn't. He was too strong. But since his arms was around my upper body and my mouth, my hand where I was holding the keys was free, but my other arm was being squeezed by him. Thank God, all I needed was that one arm. And thank God I had pepper spray attached to my keys. So I took my pepper spray, sprayed him in his eyes, and he screamed. He let me go, and that's when I took my purse to reach for my taser. And yes, I tased him. Mama ain't raised no fool. I ran to my car, opened the door, and got home immediately. By the time I pulled out the parking lot, he was still on the floor. I got home and told my parents everything. They called the cops to the restaurant. He was gone by the time they got there. I just thank God he didn't know anything about me. Not my home, not my school, or personal life. All he knew was my first name. So if you're dating online, be careful. Story time on how my cousin tried to sexually assault me. Okay, y'all, so boom. I went to Mexico for the summer because my parents wanted me to meet my grandparents. I went there with my brother so I wasn't alone. And throughout our time there, me and my brother met my grandparents and other people in our family. A month into my my visit, I met my cousin Josh. That's not his real name, but we'll just call him Josh. When I first met him, Josh was super nice to both me and my brother. Everything was fine, and he even stayed with us a couple weeks until something happened. One day when I was in my room that I was staying at, I was just minding my business playing Minecraft. Now, my room had no doors because they were working on getting new doors. And let me tell you guys that I was 8 years old and he was a teenager. He came in my room and I didn't think anything of it. He was just basically watching me play Minecraft. But then he came up to me and sat on my bed and then got on top of me. He came into my room and started watching me play Minecraft. But then he came to my bed and got on top of me. I was laying down on my stomach, so to give you a visual, he was basically on my back, like my butt. Then he tried to pull my shorts down and told me, I'll let you keep playing Minecraft if you let me touch your ass. Let me remind you guys that I'm 8 years old and this guy's a teenager. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I just pushed him off and said I don't really want to play anymore. Then I threw the phone and I left. I felt weird after, but I didn't know why. Him going and laying on me and touching on me like that, I was just uncomfortable. And I know things could have gotten bad and even worse if there were doors. I kept this in for 2 years, so I think it's time to tell everyone now. Remember, it's never okay for anybody to take advantage or inappropriately touch you. Stay